Hey friends, thanks for bearing with me. I've been very busy the last few weeks and possibly months, but I just want to take you through basically a tailwind setup that doesn't have any build stick with something like rollup or webpack, but basically just uses this tailwind CLI. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you two scripts in the package JSON here. We're using npx tailwind css, and then we have this parameter that we need for styles.app css, and then we want to pass in post CSS config, which allows us to do some extra things in Tailwind that doesn't support out of the box, like for example imports. And we basically want to specify an output. We have a watch statement which has the same, except that it will recompile as we go along. The second one is better because, like when you're developing, because this first step, when you run it, npx, it takes a few seconds to download, install, run all the config. But watch, and when you make a change, it will be pretty much instantaneously generate the extra code for you. So I'm just going to show you this working. So dev dependencies, we have some post CSS set up. So post CSS, we need post CSS import. That is the only reason why I'm using post CSS, is because I want the CSS imports to work. And these other two things, you can basically, if you don't want to use imports, like for example linking to other files from other styles, for example like this, where I want to import type typography, then you don't need to bother with post CSS. You can just run the command like that and delete this, and also delete your post CSS. So we're going to go to the terminal, and it's going to prove to you that it's working. So we have no output here, actually. No, we don't have anything in the build. So I'm just going to run the build statement, and you can see how it works. So I've got this as an alias, npm build. It's going to download the latest version. You can pin it to a version if you like, but that's it done. That was actually very quick. I was quicker than the last time I run it. So in the build, we're going to have basically the reset CSS tailwind, which resets the styles. If you don't want any of the stuff, for example, you have an existing site which has reset CSS, you can specify a parameter in your tailwind config, and it won't generate any of these new styles. It will just generate the stuff that you're actually using in your app. For example, the stuff here. So yeah, so and that's going to be built when you want to make. If you want to run it in watch, run npm watch command, which is a script I wrote. It's going to be rebuilding. If you make a change in your code, so for example, if I go into my style sheet here and I turn this to blue 300, it's going to come in here, rebuild it. Fantastic developing experience. No webpack needed, no rollup needed. So in the index here, I'm only linking to the build.tailwind CSS, and then we can just basically go and run it in the browser. So there's our site running here quite happily, Tailwind. So just to prove that this works, I'll just go and change. This is not a Tailwind lesson, so you know how it works. So I'm going to go in here, change this to red, and it will generate the style for me. There we go. Did it auto-compile. So in a sense, this is all that really I'm doing here. So if you want, also there's some Tailwind configuration. So let's just go into here. So what we're doing is the usual Tailwind stuff. You can specify, I'm specifying purge here so that it only generates styles that are needed. If you don't have a purge command in here, then you'll get the whole Tailwind CSS. Using just-in-time mode, got dark mode media because I want to support dark mode, and then I'm basically extending some of the things here like drop shadow, some background images, that kind of things. Yeah, that is pretty much all it is. All you need for a minimalistic no build tool, and just go firing in there. So if you wanted to integrate this with something like a Svelte app or even like a React app, sometimes the configurations for like all the different types of build tools, that you don't really understand the sort of Tailwind integration. So with this step, you can basically have your build for your JavaScript, and then you can have your separate build command just for your Tailwind, which you understand perfectly. And I think that's quite a nice different separation of concerns, and just makes the code more maintainable, because anybody can go in here, look at the Tailwind setup, look at the the post CSS configuration, and it's pretty much obvious. And you want to keep things simple when you're developing with Tailwind with the CLI. So hope that video is helpful to you. Until next time.